A 15% net profit is awesome, but often something like 5% is actually more attainable. And then there's the constant struggle of making a net profit, meaning you have to pay more taxes. But my rebuttal to that is always that if you're making money, be happy that you're paying taxes.
You're listening to Thrive by Design, business, marketing, and lifestyle strategies for your jewelry brand to flourish and thrive. Let's get started.
Welcome to the Thrive by Design podcast, episode 158. Hey there, it's Tracy Matthews, the Chief Visionary Officer over at Flourish and Thrive Academy, and the host for today's show. I have another special guest. I feel like it's been like a couple months of very special guests. I've been having a lot of fun interviewing people, which is one of my favorite things to do for this podcast. And today is no exception. We have Mariel Diaz with Accounting for Jewelers here on the show today. And Accounting for Jewelers is also the sponsor for today's show. I'm excited to have Mariel on the show for a couple of reasons. I'll do an intro of Mariel and her history and how she's related to kind of the accounting industry in a moment. But Mariel and I'm going to share this story in the podcast, met randomly at a networking event. She recognized me because I was doing these videos and I'd been featured on, I think it was, maybe she recognized me because she had seen me on Marie Forleo's promotion for B School many years back. But we were at a networking event and she walked up to me and said, "Wait, you're that Flourish and Thrive lady." And I was like, "Yes, I am." So we're going to tell the full story later, tell you a little bit more about the event that we were at. But, you know, it's funny how getting in person and meeting people in the flesh is very important. And that's why I love hosting live events every year. In fact, Mariel will be at the Flourish and Thrive live event this year. And I'm very excited to have her host a breakout session all about accounting and how you can really tackle the numbers and make it easy on yourself, especially if you're someone who does not love the numbers, which I know a lot of you don't. But numbers are empowering and they are very important to know. Can't tell you how many times I get on the phone with jeweler or a jewelry designer or a maker. And I say, "What are your sales?" And they have no idea. How much does it cost to make a piece of jewelry? They're guessing. And you can't be empowered and actually run a solid business if you don't understand what your profit margins are, if you don't understand what your sales concretely actually are, if you don't know the cost of actually running your businesses. These things are really important. Even though you say like, "Oh, I'm creative, I don't like those things," you must get down into the details. But there are ways to do it. It doesn't have to feel creepy or hard or draining or overwhelming. Of course, you can always outsource and hire someone else to do some of the admin work from it, but you're always going to have to get to a point where you're going to have to want to look at those numbers and understand them because it's going to be fun. And so today we get a lot of questions about bookkeeping and accounting and should I do this for my business? Should I do that? Or just like some basic questions. So I thought I would pull some of the most commonly asked questions sourced from our community and throw them at Mariel today. And I'd also like to invite you to come meet us in person here in New York City, September 26th and 27th for Flourish and Thrive Live. It is an amazing event. In fact, over the next 2 episodes, I'm going to be giving you a behind the scenes look at some of our panels with the amazing experts that we had at our event for the next 2 episodes, episodes 159 and episode 160. And so you can get a taste of what it's actually like. And Mariel's been to our event many times. She's going to be hosting a breakout, as I mentioned earlier, and it's going to be awesome. So, you know, this event is really designed around getting you in the same room with industry influencers and people who can actually help you grow your business. Last year, we had a couple of influencers at the event, and we will definitely be having more influencers this year who came and gave their words of wisdom and connected with so many of the designers. I can like rattle off a bunch of, segments that Pamela Peckerman and Don Del Russo hooked many of the designers who were actually live in that room up with. Plus Sabina, one of our SOS coaches, was giving away like free PR advice, which is awesome. And these people just really want to give. They want to help back. Plus they're always looking for new people to feature. So if you want to get more exposure, show up at this event. We make it really affordable. And there are ways that you can come to New York and stay, share a room with one of your buddies over here in the Thrive Tribe and hang out with us. It's a great opportunity to network and have fun. So I'll have the link over in the show notes, but if you want to check it out, head on over to flourishthriveacademy.com FTA Live 2018. It's going to be awesome. All right. As I mentioned, today's episode is actually sponsored by Accounting for Jewelers. Mariel Diaz is the founder of Accounting for Jewelers. And one of the reasons why I love what she does so much, even though I met her at a party, we met in the flesh at first for the real time. She actually, when I met her, was designing jewelry and really launching her brand, but she realized that she had this strong passion for accounting, which she's going to share with you a little bit more in the episode today. So Mariel brings her lifetime of jewelry industry expertise and experience to accounting, which is super cool. Mariel, it was a GIA graduate gemologist, German-trained gemstone carver, and a second-generation classically trained metalsmith when she consistently saw the need for organization and the understanding of numbers in the business. This led to a degree in accounting and a work in corporate accounting before she felt comfortable helping jewelers understand their financial reports for less stress and informed success. This year, Accounting for Jewelers is 5 years old and is a tech-savvy accounting firm based in Nashville, Tennessee, serving the jewelry industry nationwide. And they also just brought something super cool on to Accounting for Jewelers. They have a great app and platform called getbenchworks.com, which is a great inventory management that's going to help you manage your inventory in all forms, which is super awesome. So they offer full service bookkeeping, registrations and taxes, verification services, financial strategy, and business advisory services. Plus, they have some really amazing DIY courses. So one of my favorites is their DIY Accounting Made Easy course that will help you maintain your zero account. And if you head on over to flourishthriveacademy.com/A4J, flourishthriveacademy.com/A4J, you can go check out their Accounting Made Easy program and enter the words Thrive by Design as you're checking out to get $100 off. It's awesome. Mariel's so generous, and it's so awesome to have her here talking about some quickfire accounting tips. So without further ado, I'm going to have all the links to all this stuff over at the show notes. I would love to invite you to listen in and get some more insight on how you can really take control of your numbers today. Well, today I'm excited because I have a very special guest on the show today, Mariel Diaz of Accounting for Jewelers. Mariel, thanks for being here today.
Thanks for having me.
Oh, it's so funny. So Mariel and I were chit-chatting in the pre-show because Mariel has been involved in the Flourish and Thrive Academy community for a really long time. And I'm going to give you some backstory on that for a moment. But she came and took one of our courses. I think it was our Ramp Up Your Holiday Sales course years and years ago. And since then, we realized that she was so good with numbers, and she ended up, you had on the side Accounting for Jewelers at that time, right?
Yeah, I started it in 2013.
Yeah, so you're kind of doing this accounting business on the side, but you were still making jewelry. It's so funny. Most people have a jewelry business as a side hustle, and you had an accounting business as a side hustle.
Yeah, it's a little backwards.
And so she took maybe a reverse route that most of us took. Instead of going into doing our jewelry as a side hustle, she had the accounting business as a side hustle. And, she just naturally kind of came to the forefront with all this great wisdom in our community about how to handle books, just really basic questions. So I thought that we would spend this time together today on our podcast to talk a little bit more about some of the questions that we get in our community. So does that sound good, Mariel?
Absolutely. Yeah, you always have great questions.
Okay, so the funny part is that I have to say, if we go back in the time machine, I don't know, 2012, 2013, right? I guess 2014, because I guess we started Flourish and Thrive.
It was the same year that Flourish and Thrive started.
Yeah, so 2014, I had my first celebrity sighting. Mariel recognized me. I'm not a celebrity, by the way, but she recognized me from the internet at this party that we were at. We were at a networking party with Derek Halpern. And she walks up to me and she's like, "Oh my gosh, you're that girl from Flourish and Thrive Academy." And I was like, "What?" I'm like, "Who? No, there's no jewelry designers here. What?" And I was like so surprised that someone actually recognized me because we were just starting out. Robin and I were just starting out and no one really knew who we were at the time.
More than you know.
So you made me feel so famous, even though, you're one of a very small group of people that knew who we were. So
it doesn't matter how big the following is, right?
Yeah. So thank you for making me feel so special. I just think it's funny when we talk about that story.
Well, I'm glad that I'm that person for you.
Yeah, it's so fun. Well, anyway, so Mariel has been a member of our community for a long time. She is now one of our coaches. She was one of our mastermind coaches for many years while we had our mastermind program going. And she is also one of our coaches for our SOS coaching program. And as I mentioned, she has a great brand called Accounting for Jewelers. I don't know why I call it a brand, but it's an accounting and bookkeeping service company. So why don't you tell us that you have such an interesting journey because you come from a long line of jewelers and a long line of accountants, and you've now married the two. So why don't you tell us a little bit about your background and your journey?
Yeah. So I grew up in the jewelry industry. Both of my parents were jewelers. My dad had 7 boutiques at one time and always had one main large store. My grandmother retired as the head bookkeeper for a hospital and then worked as the bookkeeper for the family business. And she helped raise me. So I got these two sides of very disciplined bookkeeping and wild art. And so those are the people that I thank for making me who I am today. I'm a graduate gemologist from GIA and worked in fine jewelry, diamond and colored stone sales and did appraisals for 12 years. And then I did 1 year stone carving practical under Hans Ulrich Pauli in Ida Oberstein, Germany. And I'm a graduate jeweler from Revere and continue my jewelry education at New Approach. And I'm very lucky that it's located here to me locally in Nashville.
Awesome.
And my grandmother, she was really good at putting systems in place. And so even though my dad was more interested in the art, she knew how to keep him in line. And that was one of the biggest things I've learned from her. And so one of my biggest goals in life is to help jewelry business owners understand the reports to make data-driven decisions. So everywhere I worked as a jeweler, I always organized the office too. And I realized that my passion was actually instilling these procedures.
I love it.
And plus, even though I love making jewelry and I love some of the things that I've made, but the master jeweler that worked for my dad, because of him, my quality standards are really high. So my own work doesn't meet those. So I'm actually a really good designer, much better than a fabricator, but I'm a much better accountant than either of those.
I love it, the journey, because your dad was actually a really famous jeweler.
He was amazing, yeah. And so I worked as a bookkeeper on the side for 4 years for other businesses, and then decided to go back to school and get my degree in accounting. So my entrance paper in 2008 was to be accepted in the accounting program was titled Accounting for Jewelers. And so after the degree and working for 3 years in corporate accounting, I launched Accounting for Jewelers in 2013. And we've been happily servicing the industry ever since.
Happily servicing the industry ever since. And I love it because so many Flourish and Thrive designers are your clients or they've bought your courses, and it's so helpful. And on top of that, we love your financial wisdom. You helped us create the financial module in our Multiplier Profits course. Which,
I love all the stuff that y'all put out. It's amazing, the resources that you give the industry.
Thank you. Thanks, sweetie. Well, we love what you're doing too. That's why we're working together.
Yeah.
Always. So I wanted to just use this time with you to do some quick fire questions. I know that you have a very detailed understanding of accounting and bookkeeping and how things should be set up and when the right time is to have things set up and all that sort of thing. And there's so much to talk about, and we get questions all of the time about different types of accounting and bookkeeping questions. So I'm just going to dive in. These are some of the most recent questions we've been getting from designers in our groups. So why don't we go for it?
Perfect. I'll do my best.
All right. What's the best way to track sales and expenses for my jewelry business? Isn't a spreadsheet good enough?
Well, if you are exporting transactions from the source, so from your bank account, websites, and credit cards, then yes, a spreadsheet could work. However, I've seen spreadsheets organized by just income and expenses, and the owner inputs what they're buying and selling and thinks they're capturing it all. And this is something that does not work. I mean, the benefit of a good accounting program is that it connects to bank feeds for all of your accounts and captures the transactions at the source, so you don't have to go looking for them. So we all want to be as efficient as possible. So why would you do manual work when technology can easily do that part for you? And so as an example, a case study, we took a client that had been keeping a spreadsheet of all of her expenses, she thought, and the total for her spreadsheet totaled $54,000 in expenses. Whereas our expense report for the same period totaled $204,000. And these are deductions to offset her taxable income. And it's because we were just capturing everything. So proper accounting systems are worth it.
Yeah, I guess people don't realize all the little things maybe they charge that they don't think they need a receipt for. So they're not paying attention to it. Wow. So you probably saved that person so much in tax because
totally.
My gosh. So just to get clear, guys, you pay tax on your profits. And in most corporate structures, I'm not going to get into that if we talk about that. Mariel will talk about that. You're paying tax on basically the profit of your company. And so if you're not taking all the write-offs that you actually have, all the expenses, like all the things that you do, like if you're out like entertaining a client, there are certain ways that you can write that off as an entertaining expense. Or if you're
Well, that's a tricky one as of this year, Tracy.
As of this year, it used to be something that you could do. Now, I was like so depressed.
But there are actually, let me hit on that real quick. So in 2018, the law did change regarding meals and entertainment. And so entertainment, it is still technically a deduction, but it falls under something more like advertising or show costs and things like that. So like meals and entertainment is really reserved for meals for employees and during travel and things like that.
Okay, that's good to know. So it's like more of a marketing type of expense. Okay, got it.
So it's essentially, it's still a business expense. It's just needs to be categorized in a different way.
Properly. Yeah, I know that. I can't even think about it because it makes me want to throw up some of the changes that were made. But as someone, it's like hard. We're all small businesses and we're trying to do the best that we can to be profitable and pay what we should responsibly pay in tax, obviously. But also we're trying to make it a win-win for both sides, I guess I should say. Okay, so this is a question we get asked a lot because people are just really unclear. So let's say we graduate from the spreadsheet into an accounting program. What are some of your favorite accounting programs for jewelers?
Well, my hands down favorite is Xero because it was built using the technology that is available now. Instead of having to adapt to it, we find it's very transparent and intuitive, and it allows us to easily work with our clients across the nation. But there's tons of programs available, such as the household name of QuickBooks. And Wave is another great free program. Because it's free, it's a little cumbersome, but it's free. So you have to weigh the options.
It's like the more you invest, the less time you're going to spend. And this is where you end up like have to balance what's your time really worth.
Yeah, the cost benefit. Exactly. Yeah. And so any double entry accounting program is going to work and do what you need. So you just have to try them out and see what you like best. And I recommend giving each program that you're interested in a couple weeks of daily use to decide.
So can you explain I know what double entry is, but I know a lot of people probably don't know what a double entry accounting system is. So why don't you?
Yeah. So just as an example, the GoDaddy outright bookkeeping, they record your income and expenses, but not in a manner that you can report on a balance sheet and income statement. And the income statement is also known as the profit and loss report. So double entry accounting, the foundation of any program is something called the chart of accounts. And so that's just the way to categorize all the numbers, all the data into like a story. And so double entry accounting hits always two accounts. So like when you make a sale, it increases your sales income and increases cash in the bank. So double entry accounting is just showing both sides of the story.
Okay, awesome. Now, this is a question we get asked all the time. And it's another spreadsheet question.
Okay.
What is the best way to track my inventory? Whether it be made goods or, I'm just adding this in there, this isn't the full question that was asked, but whether it be made goods or raw materials, and is a spreadsheet okay?
Okay. So you like to hit it hard, don't you, Tracy?
Yes.
Okay. Well, this is the pain point of the industry. Inventory is one of the things that is often valued incorrectly, and it's very important that it's tracked properly.
Can you explain why? Because I think this is like people are just like, why does it matter?
Yeah. So going back to double entry accounting, inventory is an asset. So it's like cash in the bank that you might have some sitting and you don't necessarily sell it in the same year that you buy it. When you purchase it, that purchase cost of those materials is just sitting on your balance sheet in the asset section, just like cash in the bank. And when it sells, that's when it becomes cost of goods sold. So inventory is something that can only be expensed in the period that it's sold. And so the problem that we often see is that all purchases are just recorded to cost of goods sold, whether or not they're being sold or not. So the cost of goods sold can be way overstated. And if your income isn't high enough to offset that, then it might look like you have a loss when you actually don't, because you still have inventory on hand that you can expense next year. So that's the big problem.
Yeah. So you need to have an accurate number so that you're reporting the proper amount of profits to the IRS or wherever you live. If you live in a different country or tax organization. And that inventory goes against cost of goods goes towards cost of goods only when you've sold it.
Exactly.
So it's like, basically like cash.
Yeah, you want to line up the revenues, that income from sales, with the cost of just those sales. So you don't want to overstate the cost by just recording all of your material purchases during that period.
What do you recommend people do for like shrinkage? Because we're always going to lose some of the materials.
Yeah, so it's just part of cost of goods sold.
Okay.
Yeah.
So you just like incorporate that little extra bit of shrinkage in there. Okay, cool.
Well, it's accounted by all of the actual just costs of the items. So an easy way, kind of method for you bench jewelers is doing things by weight. And so you can weigh the goods when you buy it. And like I always recommend converting it to the unit that you use in-house to price. So like if you order it in penny weights or troy ounces, convert it to grams and then price it out in grams. So that everything in what you manage is all in the same unit of measurement. And then before you work on something, weigh the beginning weight and then weigh the after weight. And so the after weight is what's still going to be in inventory. So you just expense the difference.
Okay, so let's get back to the spreadsheet question.
Okay.
So is a spreadsheet okay?
Is a spreadsheet okay? They are great. I absolutely love spreadsheets, but they're only great for those that like to use spreadsheets. So people that aren't comfortable with them or that have found limitations or always having to correct formulas, then the programs that are available out there are really like facades to spreadsheets, and they do all the heavy lifting for you and you don't have to deal with that. The other thing that we find with spreadsheets is that because we're visual creatures, we like to have pictures in them with the items, and formatting pictures in spreadsheets when adding new lines, etc., can be just a pain. So it depends on your needs. And I definitely believe in spreadsheets and think they're amazing, but they do have some limitations. So we have a inventory application called Benchworks. And so of course I love it because it's my baby. But it's simple and just has a beautiful interface. And it's able to work with materials and assign them to the finished goods for product management. There's really great production run management. So for order fulfillment, pricing, consignment tracking, and you can like at a click create a line sheet. It's not like the really fancy nice line sheets, but if you just want to get a line sheet to send to someone to pick what they're going to buy, it's sufficient. There are other great programs as well. So like Jewelry Design Manager is especially helpful for beaters. Unleashed is really great for large wholesalers. And then Business Mind and The Edge is excellent for large retailers.
Awesome. Thank you for the thorough explanation.
Yeah.
And Benchworks, I know you're really excited about it.
Yeah.
And you acquired the company and updated the software. Am I getting that right?
Yeah. So in November of last year, we worked with the owner, RAB Software, to purchase it as a business asset and continue improving it. So the developer, he was actually the husband of a jeweler, and he had been a developer software engineer for Google and was in between jobs and had some free time. So, like any high achiever, they're going to develop something amazing. So he had a kind of like a group think tank of 7 different makers around the San Francisco area and developed this software based on what they needed. And so they weren't all jewelers, but they were makers. And he's now the head engineer for NerdWallet. And
oh, cool.
Yeah, we're just like totally amazed with what he's built. But so he built it back in 2014 and only had 6 months with it and did just an amazing job. But then got another job and didn't have resources to allocate, to support or anything. So it kind of sat there for 4 years until we bought it. And so now we've done, since November, we've done just like some general site updates and then brought it up to the current security standards and everything. And now we're working on integrating it with Xero.
Amazing. That's so awesome. Yeah. I know that's been like a dream of yours too, to kind of get, we've been talking about this for years. The inventory plugging into the,
yeah, it's just such a hard
accounting system. I know. I don't understand.
Because the other thing about inventory and accounting is that, they're 2 totally different languages. And so accounting only cares about the numbers, whereas inventory cares about the size and the details of the variances and all of this stuff. So it's hard to get them to talk together and for people to understand that like they really are 2 different systems.
That's amazing. I'm excited about this. It's a huge opportunity. And you guys should check out Benchworks. We'll actually have a link and we'll talk about it a little bit later.
Oh, thanks.
Okay, so what's the best business entity structure for my business? When do I know it's time to change to something else? And where can I find information on this?
So this is a loaded question. Every business is different and needs to decide it for themselves. So the best of really varies on situations. But the rule of thumb is to stay a sole proprietor as long as you can, because a lot of people are like, I need to become an LLC. But for tax purposes, an LLC is taxed no differently by the IRS. So the only benefit of becoming an LLC is in the eyes of a courtroom. So the other thing with LLCs is that renewals and state taxes may not be worth the title. So it really depends on what you're dealing with. So in my opinion, most issues in the jewelry industry can be resolved with a return or exchange. And so unless you're dealing with large valuable stones or diamonds or like sentimental heirloom jewelry, it might not be worth becoming an LLC. However, with that stated, if you're earning a net income bottom number after all of your business expenses of like over $40,000, then it's time to consider becoming a corporation or an S Corp. So like partnerships and LLCs are taxed the same way as a sole proprietorship. They're taxed personally. And the thing to consider with the S Corp is that it's required that the owner makes a reasonable wage. Mm-hmm. And so the net income has to be over $40,000 after that wage is deducted for the additional costs of the S Corp to make sense.
Okay, got it. I know that my accountant now, we've gone through a couple of things. Do you know anything about having an LLC and
electing
tax like an S Corp?
Yeah. So no business, like the default taxation is not S Corp. So not to be mean to the IRS, but the default is not going to be the most beneficial. So you have to elect S Corp taxation, and you can do it on an LLC or corporation. And there's actually a great calculator. I know this is audio, but if you want to write down, it's myllc.com/corporation-calculator.aspx. And it can help you analyze if it would be worth it to become an S Corp or not.
Oh, that's great. Can you send me that link after and we could just link it in the show notes?
Yeah.
Okay, cool.
And then the other thing about S Corps is that, so essentially just going back to electing the taxation, it's just called Form 2253. I might
you like just rattle it off. I don't know.
But you have to make that election. And the thing that you have to consider is that it is tax savings, but you're actually just not paying taxes on your retirement, essentially. So the taxes that you're not paying as an S Corp are Social Security and Medicare taxes on your net income. So you still pay it on that wage that you're required to pay, mm-hmm. but you're not paying it on that bottom number. So you're saving that like 15.3% on that bottom number, but you're also not paying into your Social Security and Medicare by that amount. So there can be arguments for whether Social Security is going to be there when we retire or not. So that can be a whole other argument, but just be aware that you're not actually, it's not like a tax discount. You're actually just not paying a specific tax.
Yeah. Okay. Good to know. That was really eye-opening. I love hearing about corporate entities. I love debating it. All right. Okay. So we got this question. I feel like this might have also come out of my mouth at one point in my life. Not at the moment, but I am so tired of my shoebox full of receipts. And quite frankly, I live in a small apartment. What's the best way to organize receipts? And are there paperless options?
Yes, we can truly be paperless nowadays. I personally love Xero's paperless inbox, but if you don't use Xero, there are great programs like HubDoc and Receipt Bank. HubDoc is really neat because it brings in all of your statements. Think of like utilities, internet service providers, your bank and credit card statements each month. So they bring them in automatically when they're issued each month and stores them for you in a folder.
Oh my gosh. I need that. I'm using something called Shoebox, but that's amazing.
Yeah.
All your bills too? Like everything?
Yeah.
So you can hook up any paperless bill you have?
Yep. And every time it's generated, it just automatically goes in there. Automagically.
I love that.
Yeah. And so both of those, HubDoc and Receipt Bank, integrate with Xero and QuickBooks. The thing that I prefer about the way that Xero handles documents is that it's not just like in one designated area, but it's connected to the actual transaction. So it creates a paperless trail right to the source document. And it's a whole new way of creating a filing system. So like instead of having metal filing cabinets and files sorted by vendor, you can pull up a contact on your computer in Xero and see all of the original receipts with the way they were drafted from the bank or credit card.
Oh my gosh, amazing.
Yeah.
That is awesome. Okay, love that. I think I'm moving to HubDoc from HubDoc, whatever that is, from Shoeboxed. Because I love going paperless. It's so nice. It's just like very freeing. Okay, What are the best e-commerce platforms for recording sales and customer transactions? Are there any that integrate with accounting programs?
There are. Many of them have integrations, but that doesn't mean they are well done. So they might not bring over the information that is relevant or in a correct format for accounting and filing taxes. Our favorite is Shopify. We love it because not only are their website designs beautiful, but you can manage all of your finished inventory in one spot by also using the Shopify point of sale, like their retail platform. And their reports are excellent too. I used to think that like Shopify was too costly, but compared to the amount of time that you save using their program, it's actually much more valuable.
I love it. You're on the same page with me as Shopify. I love Shopify for e-commerce. Okay, cool. I'm making like all these notes in here, so I make sure they get all these links from you.
Okay.
Everything that we're talking about. Okay. What are considered strong profit margins for your jewelry business, Mariel?
That's another loaded question. So with profit margins, there's two types. You have to think about your gross profit, which is only looking at the revenue from sales income minus that cost of goods sold, which is that direct cost of what ends up in your customer's hands. And then the other type is net profit, which is the bottom number, the sales income minus the cost of goods sold, minus all the overhead and operating expenses that you have to pay for whether or not you make a sale. And so the gross profit, if we look at that one, it really depends on the type of business that you have. So if it's retail, a healthy percentage is like 50 to 60%, while wholesale may have smaller margins around 30%. So if you have any gross profit above 60, 70%, you're killing it. And then
killing it.
Yeah. And so we like to see a mix of wholesale and retail because I absolutely believe in wholesale. I think it's amazing because people are out there working for you to sell your product and it's worth that price cut. However, your larger profit margins are always going to be in the retail. And then for the net profit, when we talk about that type of profit margin, again, the business type comes into play. So there's going to be, if you're doing e-commerce, you might have less overhead. And so you'll have a larger profit margin. Whereas if you're a storefront and or have employees with like a living or thriving wage, your net profit is going to be a lot smaller. And so a 15% net profit is awesome, but often something like 5% is actually more attainable. And then there's the constant struggle of making a net profit, meaning you have to pay more taxes. But my rebuttal to that is always that if you're making money, be happy that you're paying taxes.
I know. Exactly. I know I had to write a big tax check, I don't really write a check anymore to the taxes. I just do it electronically, but I still call it a check.
Right. Cut the check.
But it's just like, I had to like reframe, like, they're taking all my money, but reframe it in the fact, like, I'm so grateful that I'm at a place where I'm paying a lot of taxes because I'm actually making money off of this now. So it's exciting. We should all be thinking about that and be grateful that we're maybe like reframe the send the check to the IRS thing.
Exactly. Yeah. And the other thing about your audience is most of them are business owners. And so if they haven't had an experience with a W-2, it's oh my God, so much of my money is disappearing, but you're just not used to like taking it out regularly out of your paycheck. So that's the difference.
Absolutely. That is true. So true. Yeah. Because whenever we had jobs, because I used to have a job a long time ago. It was so long ago.
You don't consider your job a job now?
Well, it's a job, but business. I own the business. It is a job, but I love it so much. It doesn't feel like work.
Right. Yeah.
Okay. I'm going to have one more wild card question I'm going to throw at you.
Okay.
Is there any benefit to paying quarterly taxes over just paying one time a year?
Absolutely. Yeah.
Let's hear it.
Yeah. So quarterly taxes, it's usually if you owed taxes in the prior year, then quarterly taxes are essentially taking that tax liability amount and dividing it over the 4 tax due dates so that you don't pay an underpayment penalty. So the easiest way is just to kind of look at what was owed the previous year to see what you need to pay this year and weigh it against how the business is changing. And the other benefit is to spread it out so that you don't have to pay it in one.
Yeah, totally.
Yeah.
Okay, cool. So tell us a little bit more about accounting for jewelers and all the amazing things that you offer, Mariel.
Okay. Well, we offer advisory services and business consulting for pretty much all of the things that we've talked about today. And I often act as an advocate for jewelry business owners, supporting them in their decisions and as a resource for business strategy. As business owners, it can get really lonely. So I'm a really good cheerleader and motivator.
Yeah.
But more than that, we offer full service bookkeeping. So we act as your back office and we do everything from reconciliations and registrations and renewals and business and sales and tax returns. We do budgeting, forecasting, monthly reporting, all of the things that help you operate your business. And then we also have Accounting Made Easy course for those that want to do it themselves. And this is really my life's work, my opus. It's everything that we do for our clients taught in a methodical fashion for anyone to replicate. And so it's really for those that want to keep it in-house or just want to understand it themselves, which I 100% support, or that they can't afford us yet. So it's a way to do what we recommend and then scale up to us. And then another component is addressing the common pain of the industry. And that's the app we have for that, which is getbenchworks.com.
Inventory, getbenchworks.com, and your DIY bookkeeping course. What did you call it again?
Yeah, it's just the DIY online accounting course. We're kind of going back and forth between Accounting Made Easy and DIY.
I like Accounting Made Easy and DIY. I like Accounting Made Easy. There we go. All right.
I was like, everyone knows what DIY is, but...
Well, I will definitely have links for both of those, Get Benchworks and Accounting Made Easy /DIY accounting course.
The online accounting course for jewelers.
Yes, the online accounting course for jewelers. And it's really great. I've known Mariel for a long time now, and she is one of those people who does not skip details. And so there will be no stone unturned in this course. And Get Benchworks just sounds awesome. And a bunch of designers in our community are already using it and they're loving it. So it's a really great tool. So make sure that you check out that app. Yeah. Mariel, thanks so much for being here today.
Thank you for having me. And I'm glad I got to dig into these things with you. Thanks.
It's so fun. Have a good one. Thank you so much for listening to the show. It's been my pleasure to be here with Mariel today. And I really hope that you'll join us for Flourish and Thrive Live. It is an amazing event. Mariel's going to be there. You can network with her and talk a little bit more about numbers. If you have questions about your accounting, please bring them because she will be there to answer them. And it's going to be awesome. Anyway, I want to thank our sponsor, Accounting for Jewelers, today. I want to thank Mariel for taking the time to be the interview and join me for the interview, I should say. And if you know other jewelers or jewelry designers or makers who are, really trying to grow and scale their business or even get it off the ground, please share this podcast with them. Also, give us a rating and review if you haven't done it so far. It is my passion, and it's like my mission in life is to help y'all out. So I would love to help more of you. So if you wouldn't mind sharing this would be an awesome opportunity for you to pay it forward to your friends who are trying to move their business forward as well. Thanks for listening today. This is Tracy Matthews signing off.